Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, where we bring you the latest and most exciting sports news every single day. Today, we're diving into a developing story that has Lions fans buzzing and tongues wagging across the league. Picture this: a quiet morning at the team facility, and one of Detroit's most enigmatic defensive stars is pushing through an intense solo workout, all sweat and determination. No cameras, no coaches, just raw effort. But what if I told you this display of grit hides a much deeper narrative? Could this be the beginning of a seismic shift in the Lions roster? For days now, whispers have circulated about obstacles standing in the way of one of Detroit's premier edge rushers, the same player who torched opposing offensive lines in flashes, only to vanish from game day rosters far too often. Remember last season, when a brutal triceps tear in Week 3 prematurely ended his year and left us all wondering if durability might be this athlete's Achilles heel? Well, according to the team's defensive coordinator, those concerns haven't fully evaporated, despite what appears to be an almost superhuman off-season transformation. So, let's set the stage. After a devastating divisional round exit against the Washington Commanders, the Lions brass knew that a healthy pass-rushing tandem would be paramount to rewriting Detroit's playoff narrative. They needed two high-impact ends, each capable of wreaking havoc on quarterbacks from the first whistle until the final play. One of those ends, already adorned with highlight reel sacks and feared for his sheer power, has been in the spotlight for his gladiatorial approach to rehab. Day after day, he's been in the weight room drilling sled pushes at a relentless pace. Yet the question remains: will this Herculean effort translate into consistent availability? Could this very display of dedication actually signal a desire to outshine his teammates, or worse, outshine his place in Detroit? Here's where it gets even more intriguing. Sources close to the organization suggest that contract talks have hit a snag. Rumors are swirling that this rusher's camp is quietly exploring suitors beyond Ford Field. Imagine that, one of the league's most physically gifted defenders potentially eyeing the open market. Is it possible that the relentless offseason grind we're witnessing is less about preparation and more about auditioning for a new jersey? Some insiders believe that teams in football-starved markets have already begun making exploratory calls, gauging interest in a blockbuster trade. Could this be the beginning of a PR campaign to boost his market value? Fans are wondering if Detroit's front office will call the bluff, or if they'll capitulate and engineer a deal that shocks the division. Now, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of positive vibes floating around. During a May 17th press conference, the defensive coordinator lauded this rusher's mental evolution. "I've seen a different mindset. His body looks different. He's not taking days off." Yet, those same words ring with double meaning when you consider the underlying contract drama. Is Detroit simply praising improvement, or cleverly justifying a move to maximize trade leverage? Could this dual narrative be a carefully orchestrated play to test the waters without burning bridges? And while all eyes are glued to that edge, Detroit isn't forgetting about its other defensive juggernaut. His counterpart, fresh off a leg fracture late last season, is back on the field, looking as explosive as ever, fueling hope that the pair could terrorize quarterbacks week after week. But if one leg of that feared duo were to depart, the ripple effect on the locker room and the defensive scheme would be monumental. How will the coaching staff adapt? Could this open up a sudden need to pursue veteran free agents or dip into the draft for a stopgap solution? As we break down the logistics, let's not overlook the fan reaction. Social media feeds are exploding with speculation, some praising the team for nurturing redemption arcs, others lamenting the potential loss of a homegrown talent. Could this be the turning point in Detroit's off-season strategy? Is the front office signaling a win-now aggressiveness or simply guarding against long-term injury risk? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: this storyline is far from over. We've set the groundwork, teased the possibilities, and now the only anticipation that remains is how Detroit will move in the coming weeks. Stay tuned, because in Part 2, we'll reveal the player in question and explore what his potential departure means for the Lions' championship aspirations. Now, before we dive any deeper, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, so you don't miss a single update on Lions News Fan Report. Okay, Lions faithful, here is the moment you've been waiting for. The mystery edge rusher we've been talking about is none other than Marcus Davenport. Yes, the very same silent assassin whose off-season grind has ignited trade rumors and left the NFL world buzzing. But what does all of this mean for Detroit's future? Let's break it down. First off, Davenport's dedication this spring has been nothing short of inspirational. Day in, day out, he's been working with trainers, perfecting his technique and rebuilding that tricep strength that ended his 2024 campaign prematurely. Yet behind closed doors, discussions have reportedly taken place about his long-term fit in Detroit. Could this zealous offseason be his way of proving he's worth a contract extension? Or is it a showcase for rival teams to assess his full speed and power, planting seeds for a potential blockbuster deal? Speculation is mounting that the New York Jets, desperate for a forceful edge presence opposite Quinnen Williams, have quietly inquired about Davenport's availability. Meanwhile, sources hint that the Buffalo Bills, always on the lookout to bolster their pass rush, have weighed the possibility of surrendering draft capital to land him. Could Detroit extract a haul of draft picks and young talent in return? Some insiders believe the Lions might prefer to trade high now rather than risk another injury-related season, maximizing Davenport's market value when his health appears strongest. At the same time, this all comes with risk. If Detroit parts ways with such a potent playmaker, who fills that void? Rookie prospects or journeyman free agents could be thrust into starting roles, but would they replicate Davenport's rare blend of speed, strength, and length? The coaching staff may need to pivot schemes, perhaps leaning more on blitz packages or shifting to a 3-4 alignment to compensate for the loss of his explosive one-on-one matchups. From the locker room perspective, team chemistry hangs in the balance. Davenport has formed a bond with Aiden Hutchinson over the past 2 seasons, creating a dynamic duo that opponents dread. If one half of that monster tandem is traded, how will Hutchinson respond? Could this fuel a deeper determination for him to dominate on his side of the line, or might it fracture the defensive camaraderie? Fans are already debating whether this move signals Detroit's win-now mentality or the front office's willingness to roll the dice on new talent. And let's not forget Dan Campbell's fiery leadership. Known for his no-quit philosophy, Campbell has publicly praised Davenport's work ethic. Would he really allow a trade that could be perceived as abandoning a player who embodies the team's grit? Or is this just another layer of the Lions' elaborate chess game, setting the stage for a dramatic off-season maneuver? But here's the million-dollar question. Is this trade talk merely smoke and mirrors to motivate Davenport and keep opposing GMs off balance? Could it all be a strategic ploy by Detroit to ensure full effort throughout training camp, effectively holding the threat of trade over his head? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure. The impact of this storyline extends far beyond just one roster move. It speaks to the culture of accountability, the fine line between loyalty and business in the NFL, and the lengths a franchise will go to sculpt a championship contender. So, Lions fans, what do you make of these rumors? Is trading Marcus Davenport a stroke of genius that nets Detroit future assets, or would it be a mistake that hampers their pass rush for seasons to come? Personally, I can't help but feel torn. On one hand, I admire the boldness. On the other, I dread losing one of our most electrifying playmakers. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Detroit's defensive drama, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time for more breaking news and speculative insights.